Alright everyone, with the latest round of polling in, we can confidently say that Donald Trump is running so far ahead of expectations at this point, it blows 2016 out of the water. We're seeing a 5 to 10 point differential in most polling. This is primaries, of course, where he's gonna shit-can Nikki Haley tonight in Michigan. It won't even be interesting watching the GOP side. We gotta look at the Democratic side, actually, for a change at the uncommitted voters slot, because there's a campaign there by certain groups that are trying to fuck with Joe Biden. I encourage you to take a Democratic ballot, actually, in the state of Michigan if you happen to be there and vote uncommitted. Absolutely, just to troll Biden. Trump's going to be running at 70, 75 points there anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. You're probably also going to have record turnout in the GOP's primary there in favor of Donald Trump. That's number one. Now we look at general election polling. There are virtually no recent polls in which Donald Trump isn't at least a point ahead. He's running more than 2 points ahead in the aggregate in a singular matchup. That's Trump v. Biden, of course. When you figure in the other people that are running, and that will be a blunted effect in the end, by the way. This inevitably happens within an election. Despite RFK Jr. having some legs as an independent candidate, and of course Stein and West are both leftists, so they're draining votes from Biden pretty much like 9 to 1. Despite that, when you look at that polling, it gets even worse for Joe Biden. It gets even better for Trump, especially in state polling. We've got Trump ahead in Wisconsin now. He's ahead in basically every one of the competitive states, actually. In some of them by a significant margin. In Michigan, for example, he's almost 5 points ahead. In Georgia, he's almost 10 points ahead. Same with North Carolina. Same with Nevada. He's ahead in Arizona. He's ahead everywhere. There's no competitive state. The polling came out the other day showing that Trump might even be ahead in Maine, of all places. Maine has been relatively blue for quite some time. It was less so like when I was a kid, but it's been relatively blue. It's kinda sorta competitive, and there's one particular extra district there that typically leans Republican. The other one tends to lean far left. Other than that, Maine at large normally is a reasonably blue state. It leans blue. Sort of like New Hampshire. And I would be very, very interested in seeing New Hampshire polling after the Democratic Party screwed them over in the primaries and nullified their primary entirely in favor of South Carolina, by the way. I have a feeling that that state will be close too. If Trump manages to sweep the states that he got in 2016, as all polling currently suggests he would if the election were held today, and he manages to grab up, let's say, Maine and New Hampshire, possibly, he probably makes inroads in Virginia as well, it'll be a bloodbath. It'll be a total knockout. And the liberals probably won't be able to complain about my popular vote because he might very well win that as well. His popularity is higher than Biden's. Biden is on the decline. Trump is on the rise. He's marching well ahead of where he was in the other elections he's participated in. The candidates that he's supporting are doing better than they were certainly in 2020, and it appears possibly even 2016. He's got everything. He's smoking the competition like a joint. It's like he's fucking Cheech and Chong in Amsterdam or something like that. He's destroying them, and they can't understand why this is happening. As you'll see if you topically pay attention to any MSNBC broadcast, these people are genuinely confused about why this is happening. It's quite simple. Number one, Trump is being persecuted. The American people are feeling the pain right now, especially with the economy and the border. So they identify with him. There's a personal identification with the fact that Trump is suffering. Now, it's a different kind of suffering. In his case, it's legal persecution and, the deep state trying to constantly spy on him and spread propaganda about him. It's much larger than the average persecution somebody faces. By the way, I am still a little bit hoarse, but I'm feeling generally better. So I will be going live tonight. I'll announce that later. It's different, but it brings about a familiarity with the situation in an abstract sense. That's number one. Number two, under Donald Trump, the economy was stable, more or less. The border was a bit better. There was still a border crisis, but he did something about it. Trump is about to go, by the way, to Eagle Pass, in order to compete with Joe Biden, who belatedly decided, well, man, I'm going to go Brownsville, go see the border. This is exactly like with East Palestine. You remember, Trump goes to East Palestine, and he hands out paper towels and cleaning supplies and bottled water, and at least some little token was done. He acted like the president at the time, and that's the other, and then Biden, now he's showing up a year later. They had to rush Buttigieg over there looking like the OSHA poster boy. Here's the other thing. Trump is very good at optics. He acts like he is the president of the United States. That's why he doesn't engage in any of the primary debates or anything like that. He's presenting an aura as though he's the one that is actually in charge anyway. Biden doesn't have that. He doesn't have the stage presence, and none of the primary contenders have anything. None of them had any on-the-job experience to run on, so it was always a foregone conclusion that Donald Trump was going to win in the Republican primaries. Again, it's going to be boring from here on out. On Super Tuesday, we're going to have to watch the Dem balloting too and say, oh yeah, in some of these states I think that they do have like the uncommitted vote or something like that, so we'll be looking at that margin. Now, other manages to win on the Democratic ticket in the state of Vermont or something like that. I will be taking a Republican ballot, to be clear, on Super Tuesday here to vote for Trump, but it'll be more interesting watching the Dem side. Trump's going to run 50, 60 points ahead. He's creamed the competition in the primaries. Other than Ron DeSantis, before he got into the race, ironically enough, nobody else had a viable chance at stopping him. Haley's on the downturn. We now pivot directly to the general. Trump is ahead in virtually every possible capacity. He was scantly ahead sometimes in 2016 in a few states. Mostly he ran behind Madam Hillary. In 2020, he was never ahead anywhere. He was always behind in the aggregate in every competitive state and in general polling. Didn't matter what matchup you looked at, by the way. Whether you counted for third-partyists or not, it made no difference. And yet still, apparently, supposedly, Trump only lost by a couple 100,000 votes because ballot printers are a thing. Ballot printers go burr. And we all know that is what happened. I was there. I'm not going to be gaslit. I was there on election night. I saw the Bloomberg predictive programming red wave, and then the mail-in ballots came in. And they were just perfect. The numbers were absolutely exactly what Joe Biden needed, to within a few thousand votes in a couple of cases. No, I don't believe that, to be clear. I do question the legitimacy of the 2020 election. But that's sour grapes. Looking forward to 2024, it looks like there aren't going to be enough fucking ballot printers in enough fucking places. It's going to be real hard to overcome that many votes. Yeah, it seems like Donald Trump is riding a goddamn surge right now. It's going to be hilarious to see what the fallout is. I believe that his odds of winning keep rising as this polling remains pretty stable, actually. Trump maintaining a 2-3 point lead consistently for months, and Joe Biden is being weighed down. And this is the third reason. Joe Biden's problem is that it is impossible for him to really pivot on the issues that are hurting him. He can't magically make the economy better. That's number one. He can't really do anything about the border crisis. He's going to go visit Brownsville out of necessity because Trump was visiting Eagle Pass on the same day. It's going to be optically a bad idea, just like going to East Palestine was a bad idea. Joe Biden and his staff must viscerally hate him and be setting him up, literally sabotaging their own candidate. At this point, I have to believe that that's a possibility, because it's so optically poor the way he's doing things. He can't magically solve diplomatic issues. He can't magically, and none of the problems that are plaguing him, why do you think they keep trying to take back burner issues like abortion and force them to the front, only to be defeated time after time in so doing? Those will be minor issues. People are too worried about their wallets and the fact that their local motel is now overrun with Venezuelans and shit like that. I don't see good things ahead for the Democratic Party. I'm beginning to wonder if my initial prediction months ago about the GOP managing to lose the House may actually not come true at all. They may end up being able to maintain the House, take the Senate and the White House at the same time. Not that some of those candidates won't be fucking neocons or something, but as far as party politics goes, it'll look pretty good. And then the liberals will start in rioting. Oh, you will see it. You're going to see more than just the pink hat primal screams if Donald Trump is reelected, let alone if the GOP manages to have one or both chambers of Congress. You're going to see some crazy shit. It'll make probably they'll go full summer of love again. There'll be lots of fiery but mostly peaceful protests. So right now, again, link in the description to the RCP page. Look at the latest polls. Tell me this isn't tons better for Donald Trump and for the GOP in general than they ever had in 2016. It's light years ahead. And as far as 2020, there's literally no comparison. That's about all. Peace out.